You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Before we get to that, I should remind you guys that if you're trying to get to the game this weekend and see Tom Herman, you can go to GameTime, download the GameTime app, get tickets to go do that because college football is back. It's kind of weird that we're already like 2/3 of the way through the season. That's a crazy thing to think about. But tailgates, rivalries, energy, all a ton of fun. Cheering on the reunion of the 2015 Houston Cougars, a ton of fun. What's not fun is waiting in queues, hidden fees, prices, jumping at checkout, all that last minute kind of stuff when buying tickets. That's why we here at Locked On use GameTime. The app gives advantage back to the fans. The easiest way to score last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed, no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Just hit the toggle over and you see exactly what you're going to pay at checkout. Now, I was seeing lower bowl, 5 and 8 rows off the field for going like just over $40. You can get into the end zone sections for like closer to $20. You can get into this game, all expenses in, very reasonably. Go on, cheer on the Cougs, wear black for Kurt Hester, cheer on Houston as they continue to make a push for Arlington that is very, very much realistic. You always said, you're waiting for them to win some football games. They're winning football games. Go cheer them on. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets and do so with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download GameTime today. Park Rangers Locked On Cougs here. And yes, the rumors are true. With the 2015 team coming back to campus this weekend for a 10-year reunion of the conference champion, Peach Bowl champion Houston Cougars. Got a hat back there somewhere behind me. Yeah, Peach Bowl champion hat, right? Right there. With a reunion tour of sorts for them on campus. That does mean head coach Tom Herman will be back on campus. And I'm here to tell you, I think that's a good thing. Now, I think it's a good thing for a couple reasons, but one, I think it shows that that's old potatoes to the school. And I think that probably means it should be old potatoes or whatever phrase you want to say for you and I too. Look, I don't want to act like anyone was happy when he left in 2016 and the way he left. Frankly, having lost Bryles and Sunland before that was maybe not the biggest surprise that he left. At the time, Houston was a Group of 5 program, and these other schools were Power 4, Power 5 jobs. A lot more money, a lot more resources. Totally get it, right? And frankly, Herman had kind of lived that good life as a coordinator at Ohio State before that. He's seen what it looked like up close and in person. Totally get that, right? The big deal with Herman leaving was how he left. There's no way to beat around the bush about it. It was unprofessional. It was pretty bad. And the middle of the night, leaving, not telling anyone, leaving the car at the airport, all that kind of stuff, right? It was pretty bad. And the pain from that is valid. I don't mean to say this in a way that discredits any of that. I am saying we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of it, and the school saying, hey, come back with the team to campus. Let's celebrate what you did right. And I think that that's indicative of like, hey, we're in good times now, actually. We're in the Big 12. We are 7-1. Again, we have a very real shot to get to Arlington. It doesn't have to take a whole bunch of breaks to go our way. It just takes us winning our games and one or two other things happening. And suddenly we're in the Big 12 championship game. We can move past being wronged one time 9 years ago, right? And I saw someone put it on Twitter, and I wish I could have found the tweet to cite it. And if you say it's you in the comments down below, I'll believe you. But people were quick to point out, like, the success and energy around Houston when Tom Herman was on campus is probably directly tied to Houston getting in the Big 12 in the first place, because it showed as more proof of concept. We keep throwing that phrase around, like when things are good there, how much fun and how good for college football it can be for things to be good there when you're competitive against these, again, beating Oklahoma in 2016 against these big kinds of programs, right? So that's fair. I also think that I hope people are relatively respectful, because Herman will undoubtedly be brought out with other members of the program from the 2015 team. And I understand that the boos would be for him and the cheers would be for the players. It's not gonna sound it's all gonna sound like it's one big crowd. And you hope that we uplift the players that did not do any wrong to Houston, right? Um, and frankly, celebrate the accomplishment they're celebrating. I also would point out that this is a blackout game for Kurt Hester because that was his favorite color and his favorite uniform of Houston's, and they're going to put Unbreakable on a bunch of stuff for Kurt Hester. So there'll be some aspect of that throughout the game as well. That's equally as appropriately respectful, like cheering when it's cheering time, somber when it's somber time. Um, I think all of this, though, does help boost Houston in this weekend. It adds to the mojo, adds to the fun. And quickly previewing at West Virginia, I want to talk to Paul about it some for tomorrow's show. But it feels like they've got a freshman quarterback named Scotty Fox, who is not the starter or second team guy, I don't believe, to start the season, but he's thrown a decent amount of passes, 6'2", 215, not a great runner. But he is the guy, I think, for them right now. The truth is, the only guy I'm worried about in their offense is significantly like he could beat you, is Cam Vaughn, a 6'2" receiver transferred in from Jacksonville. And he only has 420 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he's a over 15 yards per catch kind of wide receiver. He only makes big plays. And so he worries me because, like, if he makes 3 of them, that could be 21 points, right? I would also point out that in his own season this year, Cam Vaughn has 3 touchdown catches from 3 different quarterbacks. That's kind of your West Virginia's having. So, like, maybe he gets a little bit more time on task with one. Things go that way, right? Defensively, I think Jason Chambers, their corner, is the best player. You could tell me it's Fred Perry, their slot corner, who's a little bit smaller. Really short secondary that I actually think is pretty talented, but Houston might use Tanner Koziol and his size a lot in this one for jump ball and box out kind of situations. I really think, though, Houston runs the ball effectively in this game. And I think that shortens the game. And that's why I would say, like, the hammering the overs and the big spreads and all that might actually not be great. I think that, honestly, you're going to see a low possessions, low snap count kind of game, because Houston's just going to grind. That's what Houston's done to win games, right? And so we'll see how that goes. I want to talk to Paul about it more. And then I got a couple of people on text about things, but I know we're going to at least talk to Paul this week to break it down. Paul's a fun guy to have on this, so we'll have some fun with that. Hit subscribe, hit the bell so you know go live. Obviously, there's big news in recruiting spheres coming out soon. I say that because it's like the time for high school kids in basketball to start looking at their commitments, with a handful that will dangle all the way until like March, April, May. So we're going to start looking at like when those commitments are coming to Houston, right? We had a handful of big visits last weekend, and basketball season starts Monday. We need to preview a season and that kind of stuff. To the games, the real games start Monday. We also have the football game to break down throughout the week. Any other big news and notes that pop up in Houston or the Big 12 will be here each and every day. Hit subscribe, hit the bell so you know we're live. Couple shout outs. One, as always, the golf crew, the fans that golf in North Carolina, Phil and company, I believe. Thank you for listening every day. And special shout out today to the football video crew, guys behind the scenes holding cameras in the editing room. I said on Twitter, and it's a little emotional almost. Look, we all know like cancer super sucks. Like, and that's the nicest way I can put it to PG. It's just a family program. Cancer sucks, and I know they knew and probably had some inkling that this would be a video they had to make. There's 2 kinds of football videos, though. There's like good, cool football highlights, and there's good storytelling. And Jordan, Adrian, the video crew, able to mold those together in a really special kind of way, to touch on what made last Saturday a little bit magical and to feel a little bit divine. If the bad part of Saturday had to happen that day, it certainly feels like the good part was always going to happen. And so obviously that doesn't mean that they're on the same playing field or anything. It just life's weird. Things work out weird sometimes. Video was really, really well done. Really, really well done. So shout out to the video crew. I think it's Jordan, Adrian, and others. I know they don't work alone, but I think they're the two in charge of things. So shout out to them. Locked On Coogs, remember the Locked On Podcast Network is your team every day. Go Coogs. Unbreakable.